Hello and welcome to SBS Parts SuperATV Polaris RZR Power Steering install video. The first step in the installation of the power steering is the removal of the stock steering shaft. Remove the bolt that holds the steering shaft to the steering rack. Next, loosen the steering wheel bracket bolts and the lower bolt holding the steering tilt rod to the steering wheel bracket. Pull the steering wheel assembly up out of the way and secure to the RZR's upper cage. Remove the bolt that holds the steering wheel shaft to the upper shaft and then remove the steering wheel bracket bolts. Pull the steering wheel assembly out and remove the steering shaft from the vehicle. Put the new lower shaft assembly through the firewall and secure to the steering rack. Install the new lower steering shaft to the steering rack with the supplied hardware. Once in place, drop the power steering unit into the lower shaft and install the hardware loosely. Bolt the two steering brackets together with the supplied hardware and then bolt the steering bracket to the power steering unit. Tighten the hardware enough to hold the power steering unit in place. Mount the steering shaft to the power steering unit. You can replace the steering rod bolt through the power steering bracket and the steering wheel bracket temporarily to hold in place. Install the hardware through the upper steering shaft. Install the new bushings in the steering wheel bracket on both sides and slide the steering wheel shaft spline through the steering wheel bracket. Replace the bolts in the steering wheel bracket and then install the steering rod bolt through the steering tilt rod, the power steering bracket, and the steering wheel bracket. When all hardware is in place, tighten all steering bracket and steering shaft hardware in the entire assembly. The next step is the installation of the ECU module above the steering assembly underneath the dash. Make sure the holes for the bolts are lined up with the holes in the frame underneath the dashboard. Secure the mounting bracket with the supplied hardware. The next step is installation of the wiring harness. First, plug in the power steering electrical plugs in the ECU module. Next, run the red and black wires underneath the floorboards and attach to the positive and negative terminals on the battery. Locate the orange wire with the white line that runs to the ignition and splice the white wire in the harness to this wire with the supplied connector.